Yeah. So obviously we've got dude's lift over in my garage, and to get my machine where we need it, you got to get it real close to the garage door opener. I didn't think that I'd be able to go all the way up with the lift in my garage because it's pretty low in here, but it's all the way up. Obviously, there's less of a clearance issue if I shift the machine this way, but we need bench space because part of the reason it's on the lift is we're doing gear reduction, so kind of in the middle of that. But I gotta hit pause. I'm kind of at the point where a second set of hands will be good, so I gotta wait till tomorrow till dude comes over. So this video is gonna be focused on another issue I have, and I just figured since I have his lift here and the lift will make it easier to do this, I'm gonna do it. If you watch the video where I put kryptonite ball joints in my machine, I mentioned that my pinion seal on my diff is leaking, so we're gonna fix that. Originally I wasn't gonna film it. I thought it'd be, you know, similar to taking the diff out of Steph's machine. It's pretty self-explanatory. Not so much the case. I got to looking and thinking, and I had my theories, and yeah, I ended up looking at the service manual, so there's a bit more to it than I expected, and it's just not something I really thought about. So it actually comes down from underneath the machine. So I went ahead, read the procedure in the service manual, and I'm, you know, gonna probably modify it a little bit, do it my way somewhat. In case you guys want to know, I figured I'd film it and kind of show you what's involved with removing the diff out of the Pro XP. The regular Rzr, it's simple. It comes right out the top. You get all the crap out of the way. You undo the 4 bolts underneath, take the drive shaft off, and you just lift it right out. And yeah, Pro XP, a little more involved. And then we can get a better look at my seals, and we'll replace it and put it back together. I figured doing gear reduction in my garage wasn't enough chaos, so I want to make it a little more chaotic and have crap everywhere. We're going to start on each side. Obviously, I have the wheels off. I already did these steps on the other side. So just remember, this is not going to be step-by-step from the service manual. I kind of read it over, skimmed through it, maybe is what I'll call it. So I took all their steps as recommendations, so I'm not following it to a T, and I got a few other things to do, so I might have added steps. But first thing, we're gonna get the tie rod out. If you guys don't know, that's the trick for removing the tie rod ends. I put a little pressure here, and then you hit here as opposed to hitting up. If you just tap the knuckle itself while prying, it usually pops right up. We can get the brake caliper off now. Now we can remove the axle nut. The hub. So now we're going to take the hardware off for the lower ball joint. Now we can just pop it out like so. So we're actually just removing the entire lower A-arm. So we can get these bolts out now. Damn it. So next up, we gotta get this little roll pin out right here so we can slide the drive shaft off of the diff. Just like that. Alright, so we have that out. This would be a fine time to remove your axles, but I can't do that quite yet. From my previous project, I know that they're stuck, so I'm gonna move on for now and address that later. I've already got all the plastics removed, but that's one of the first steps. I've already removed my trail armor skid plate, just the front section here. We'll need that for in a little bit. But next up, it's basically we got to remove the winch, get that out of the way, and then we have to start taking the subframe bolts out so we can drop that down. I'll throw you guys to time lapse, and I'm going to get all this winch and bumper and stuff off, and I'll catch up with you then. So we got the winch hanging out of the way. So we got to get this whole subframe assembly off the machine so we can drop the diff straight down. So we got these 4 nuts and bolts here that we got to remove. They're 15s, and this is your front subframe assembly mounting hardware. So I'm going to leave these 2 bottom ones just in there, so when we take the rest off, it doesn't come crashing down. Not sure if that's what it does, but just to be sure, I'm leaving them in. Next up, we got these 4 big boys here, 21 millimeter. There is a nut on the top that you're going to have to hold. So if you go to do this, definitely be careful. Leave hardware up top there because it wants to come down. So leave that front hardware in, and then you can maybe swing it down. Yeah, so then it just goes this far. Now we can go back up top and get that, and we'll have the whole subframe out. Don't know how heavy this thing is. It does have some weight to it. So the safest way to do this would be to put a jack underneath. So I recommend doing that. Not so much the way I'm going to do it. Alright, we got it. It's a little tricky. Probably would be easier if you take these top A-arm bolts out, just push them back, because I don't know if you could see it, we're kind of getting sandwiched between here and here, so it's got to come out at an angle, and I was able to slide it out. We're going to have to remove these bolts anyways and move the A-arm a little to get the differential mounting bolt out, so you got to do it anyways. I think now that I have some more room, I'm going to try and get these axles out by prying, because I can't afford to break another axle trying to remove it.
The next day.
Alright, we're back on the front diff removal project we got going on. I had to get dude's assistance to get the axles out. Did it without breaking them. It took multiple pry bars and a hammer, and they finally popped. Very rusty. So now we're ready to move on. So next step, we're going to remove the upper A-arm bolt, just the fronts, because we're going to have to pry up on them to remove the diff mounting bolt. So we're going to get this done, and then we're going to work on dropping the diff out of the machine.
Do we have to remove this one because that bolt just has to go out that way, right?
Dude makes a good point. I've inhaled a lot of brake cleaner the last couple days, so I'm not thinking straight here. We only have to remove the passenger side, so you can leave the driver's side in. So on these Pro XPs, what's holding your diff in is two long bolts that go through here, and then you can see one nut here, one nut by dude's finger. So we gotta take those off and slide them out. But the problem with it being this long, it is behind your A-arm mount. So we're gonna have to pry up or pry down or try to move that out of the way to slide the front one out.
Yeah. Don't let that slip, dude.
I'm trying not to. Alright. Alright, well that, I guess, worked. Prying down. Unless that jack handle was in your way. Alright, there's that. And it's out. Obviously you have the vent tube. Don't forget about the wiring, because I certainly did. Alright, we're going to get this on the bench and take a look at what we got here. So the big thing I noticed, the reason this came out originally, is this pinion seal was dripping quite a bit. As I'm taking this out, I noticed the whole bottom of the diff is all wet, so it's been leaking there too. It's a good thing that I check my fluid levels before every ride. Otherwise, this might have been a problem. So I got a bag of new Polaris seals here. You get the new like O-ring style gasket for the cover, and that might be where it's leaking as well. But we are going to take it all apart and just kind of inspect it since it's out, and change the seals and hope that nothing is bad inside. I've never taken one of these apart. I've taken Steph's style apart out of the XP1K, and I've seen inside a four-wheeler, so this will be the first time in the Pro XP diff. So good news, still had fluid in it. Probably not as much as it's supposed to, but yeah, we're ready to tear it apart. Obviously drain it first, and then got a bunch of 10 millimeters. Oh, I think I got it.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's
So we got the cover off. This seal, this is going to be one of them we're changing today. I'm going to pull it apart just to inspect. There's really not much to them. So I'm gonna get this cleaned up a bit, get the parts cleaned up, and then we're gonna go ahead and change the axle seal in the cover. We got this axle seal, And then we got to change this seal. This one was the one that was really leaking.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
So we're ready to start changing the seals out. Like that. Just like that. We already removed the gasket off the cover because we're going to be changing that out. So next up, we got to get the pinion seal out. Voila.
Yeah, just like that, dude.
Just like that. So just be careful not to go too deep, because you'll end up into your bearing. Same situation if you're doing the axle seal on the trans, but it does work. And then if you ever had to take your pinion out, you got a snap ring here and it slides out, but we don't have any foul play, so we're just replacing the seals. We're going to slide the new one on.
"75 years later."
So we got that one in, and don't do what I did. I bowed it in a little. You want to make sure you're hitting on the outside, but we got it to the chamfer, so that's in, and I guess we're just going to hope this doesn't leak. Next up, new axle seal. So we're going to do the same thing on the cover now. Then we can throw the new gasket on the cover. So that fits on like that. So we're ready to reassemble now. Cleaned up a little, and now we're just gonna reverse the process, put it back together.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Alright guys, that's it. I'm gonna try and do this fast. I got 3% battery left. Well, as you just saw, the battery got me, but we're done. Still got to put the winch back together, torque the axle nuts. But we can't quite do all of that quite yet because we're still in the middle of finishing up the gear reduction. So it's still a bit of a shit show here. But that's it. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment. Catch you on the next one. Peace.